What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another video on the channel. My name is Zachary Smith. First and foremost, before we dive into this, if you could, please subscribe to the channel, leave me a like, hit that notification bell, comment down below what we cover in this video, anything that you've seen in the past, anything you want to see in the future, all that good stuff really helps me out, helps me grow the channel and continue to bring you guys different content. Today's going to be something similar, though, as we've been rolling through these 4-round mock drafts for every team in the NFL based off where their first selection is in the 2023 NFL draft. We're on pick 23, the Minnesota Vikings, who only have 5 selections in this draft and no second-round pick. So we only have 3 selections in this 4-round mock draft. I think, there's a lot of talk about them. This might just be a smokescreen being connected to Hendon Hooker or somebody in this quarterback class, maybe a potential move up. If I'm them, especially in this draft class where I think it makes sense to move back and have as much day 2 draft capital as possible, if they can get out around 1 at pick 23 and move back to day 2, pick up an extra third or something like that, I mean, to me, they're one of the teams that I would be looking to do that with, especially when you look at their needs. They probably need some edge help. They need some corner help. I really think when you look at every layer of that defense, they could use some help there. And then probably another pass catching weapon too. You talked me to a lot of different things for the Vikings, but yeah, I will share my screen and we will get into this. Should preface by saying this is what would I do mock draft. So they might not even be heavily connected to the player that I take for them. And that I've seen that in the comments throughout doing these exercises. That's why it's what I would do. And we'll see if we run into a situation like that in this one, but let's roll. Hopefully we get something cool at the top to shake this up. Not really. Although CJ Stroud to Houston, a lot of talk. Do they even like Stroud? Oh, the Bucs jumping up to 5 for Anthony Richardson. Life after Tom Brady. I'm going to have to go back and see what that move was. No trade offers, stick and pick for this entire thing. We might see some things that are enticing, but I got to see what this move was, man. Anthony Richardson for pick 19, Mike Evans and Devin White. PFN, ever since you've been able to trade players, these mock drafts have gotten so much more interesting. They're a lot of fun. Devin White makes a ton of sense for sure. He asked for a trade recently. It doesn't look like he's getting a new contract in Tampa Bay. They don't see his value. He's kind of declined in the last couple of seasons after being a huge piece of their Super Bowl run. Mike Evans, it depends on where Tampa feels like they're at. If they really are going into, what they feel is like a retool, a rebuild, get an expensive wide receiver contract off the books and Mike Evans, let him go somewhere else. A wide receiver room of Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. That ain't bad they didn't take one. Van Ness and Porter. They're 2 picks here. So, anyways, that brings us to Minnesota here at 23. Quentin Johnston could have made sense, though I personally don't love him. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a receiver for me. I do like Zay Flowers a ton. I'm looking, Deonte Banks is on the short list here. Nolan Smith is on the short list here. Is that it? That might be it, honestly. Yeah, because otherwise you're kind of moving down here. I can't get on board with Brian Brzee for them. I do like him. I do think his best football is ahead for him in the pros. Kalijah Cansey, I don't know that they have that other interior presence to kind of hide the fact that he's going to be a net negative in the run game. He's going to be a huge pocket disruptor as a pass rusher. But I think you have to have almost like a Jordan Davis next to him or like a bigger defensive tackle to pair him with. He's going to line up over the guard. He's not a traditional nose. So yeah, between these two, I think we're going to keep throwing darts at the position. They got to hit eventually on corner. We're going to go Deonte Banks, who I'm a huge fan of for Minnesota at 23. Tested off the charts, actually finishes my corner 3, just slightly ahead of Joey Porter. They're in the same tier, but I do like him a little bit more. I think that he's got the more projectable traits. I think there's less of a chance of him not panning out at the NFL level. I think they're both going to pan out. I should say that. I think they're both going to be really good players. Still on the board. Not having a second round pick, man, is tough. That's what I'm saying. For Minnesota, they're really going to have to clean up on day 2. I don't think this player is going to fall to me. He did. Wow. All right. So for me, this is an easy spot for me. We're going secondary again. I think with Brian Flores, you want to establish the pass rush. He's always liked to do that. But I also look at some of the safeties that he's had. Obviously, Minka for a little bit of time in Miami before the trade, and then Javon Holland comes in there, and now. Well, he also had Minka again, kind of when he was a defensive assistant in Pittsburgh and linebackers coach, worked with him again there. I think that, based off that, you can see that he wants a safety that can play at all 3 levels, can play a little bit of slot, can play some overhang, can play around the line of scrimmage. Where are you doing Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M, a safety? I don't think he should fall to this spot. I think he's a really good player. My safety 2 of this class, just behind Brian Branch. I don't think it's an incredibly strong safety class. I should say that too. But I think he's a round 2 player, and we got him in round 3, so I really like the value there. Now I think that this is really important what we're able to get in round 4. When we talked about, going back to the beginning of this, the needs that they have. Well, we haven't gotten a pass catcher yet. We haven't gotten an edge rusher yet. The value just wasn't there for me. And when you have the lack of picks, what do they consider their team needs on here, though? Corner, wide receiver, safety, linebacker, running back. Yeah, there's been some talk about Dalvin Cook, too. My friend Drew actually said that they were a sneaky team to watch for Bijan. That would be interesting. He was on the board there for us to take. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a pass catcher here. I really like what's left on the board at this point, and I'm gonna give him my guy. I just made a video on him actually too, Jonathan Mingo. I think this is really good value at this point. He's getting some round 1 buzz. Peter Schrader just penciled him in his mock draft to the Saints at the back end of round 1. I think this is a really good fit. I mean, you let Justin Jefferson obviously do what Justin Jefferson does, but Mingo's kind of a mismatch in the slot. He'd be a bigger slot option for you. Right around 6, I think he's just a hair under 6'2", but over 200 pounds. Just a physical dude, plays inside, outside, great yak ability. I think the one question with him, he didn't run the most diverse route tree, kind of Ole Miss simplified things for him. And also at the top of his routes, not great at breaking off there. Kind of lets the ball play into his body too much. So you'd like to see him maybe get his hands away from his frame and make some hands catches. But I really like the player. I think that his best football is also ahead just because of how simplified Ole Miss's offense was for him specifically. So I'm excited to see what he does at the NFL level. And I think this is a great landing spot, obviously, when you have Justin Jefferson taking so much attention away. I believe that does it. I think just the 3 picks in those first 4 rounds. Yeah, I think they got to find a way to acquire some more draft capital here. And I don't know if that's been talked about a lot because the talk has just been, the smoke there with them moving up for a quarterback. But here we go. Deonte Banks, Antonio Johnson, Jonathan Mingo. We get 3 picks for the Minnesota Vikings here in the first 4 rounds of this draft. And I come away feeling pretty solid about this haul. Double dipping on the secondary. I think that makes sense when you look at the way that Brian Flores defenses have run in the past. They're going to have to find some pass rush somewhere. But, obviously there are still some guys there. But yeah, I think they could definitely stand to add another body. I would have been willing to do it at 23 if the right guy were there. I just didn't think it made sense. I didn't think the value was there for anybody else over Deonte Banks. So that's what we come away with as the ads now want to start popping up. Deonte Banks, Antonio Johnson, Jonathan Mingo. Vikings fans, let me know how you feel about this draft haul, what you would have done differently. Let me know how you feel about it if you aren't a Vikings fan, even if you're just a fan of the NFL draft in general. Once again, be sure if you are new or if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and hit that notification bell. It helps me out a ton. Also, comment down below. Let me know how you're feeling about it. We will be back next time. Who do we got on the docket next? It would be who picks right after us? The Jacksonville Jaguars. That'll be a fun one. Exciting times going on in Duval. So we'll be back with that one. But until then, Take it easy. Bye bye.